Social science assessment for the first periodic test. Sample answers. I will be beginning with the very short answer type questions. Define social science. What is social science? Social science is a branch of science that studies human society, social relationships, and individual behavior. It includes key disciplines such as history, which tells us more about the past events and any kind of mishaps, how we recovered from it, any kind of diseases, how the society coped up with it, and much more. Geography, which tells us about the landforms, different kind of geographical conditions and situations. Political science, which tells us about the policies across the globe, the rights and duties, what we all at different places can avail, and economics, which tells us about the resources available for all of us in any part of the world, which helps us to understand how societies function and evolve over a period of time. Next question. Political science helps us to understand democracy and institutions. What kind of institutions? Either political or governmental. Next question. Difference between climate and weather. What is weather? Weather is a atmospheric condition of a specific place at a particular time. Right now in our city, what is the weather? Is it rainy, sunny, cloudy? That is called as weather. But climate is an average weather condition of a particular region or a larger region over a period of time. Suppose if it is a desert area, so it is going to be a desert area for a particular period of time. That can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or much more than that. Similarly, it goes with the colder regions. So that is climate, weather and climate. Next question. Two arguments against democracy. Why democracy is not good for any country, or the conditions which is not favorable to support democracy. So the first point is political instability. Yes, that's true. Leaders keep changing frequently due to the regular elections. So every 5 years, either a new government can come up or the new leaders can come up. So that can bring in changes, how the country is working, how the government policies are working. Suppose a different political party is in power um, for a certain period of time and they are deciding some policies for the country, but the new government which comes up, they can bring in changes into that policy, either in implementing or they may not like it and wipe it off altogether. So that is political instability. Delays in decision making, yes, due to certain conditions, either of the parties, like either political part, either opposition parties or the ruling party, they may not be liking or agreeing on each and every uh, thing whatever the political ruling party is bringing in, and they may not agree on that, and because of that, lot of consultations, lot of consensus time that is being consumed. So because of that, what happens, the decision making delays, especially when it is critical decisions. Next question. Why are free and fair elections essential for democracy? Why the elections needs to be free from any kind of manipulation or pressure to maintain democracy in a longer run? So free and fair elections are foundational to democracy because they guarantee that the ultimate power is with the citizen. Otherwise, there is no use. It will just become a mere ritual. It will become a very basic formality where the citizens are just going and voting, knowing the fact that their votes are not going to be bringing in the correct representatives. So, to provide a level playing field where current ruling politicians have a genuine chance of losing power if voters are dissatisfied. If the voters are not happy with the policies or the way the current government is working, then they can remove they have the power to remove the government. So, if the elections are not fair, the country will not develop or go in a good place in a longer run. So, without fairness, elections become mere rituals rather than true democratic choices. Next question. Why is the troposphere the most important layer of the atmosphere? The troposphere is the most critical layer for life on Earth because life support it contains about 75% of the total atmospheric mass and the vital oxygen necessary for respiration. So, the complete atmospheric mass which is existing that is existing in the troposphere, and the oxygen which is available that is also available at this layer of the earth. Weather phenomena, all different kind of weather, cloud formation, rainfall, fog, snowfall, storms, everything is taking entirely within this layer. Next question. Write a short note on carbon footprints. A carbon footprint represents the total volume of greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide, released into the atmosphere as a direct or indirect consequence of human actions. It serves as a metric to measure individual, corporate, or product specific impact on global climate change through activities like driving vehicles, consuming electricity, or manufacturing items. Minimizing carbon footprints is vital to combat global warming. So, what is a carbon footprint? That is emission of CO2 due to the several human actions which gets accumulated at a certain level in the atmosphere. Now, that total volume of greenhouse gases is called as carbon footprint, and it needs to be reduced if we want to fight global warming effectively. Highlight the important aims and objectives of social science. Why the studies of social science is very fundamental and required. The fundamental objectives of teaching social science include equipping students with the ability to comprehend the complex interaction between human societies and their environment, how the human is going to survive, exist, and coexist along with the different species in the environment. So, the study of the entire thing, the understanding of how everything is working, and the complex relationship between human society and its environment is what we learn in social studies. To nurture the critical thinking, independent analysis, and systematic reasoning regarding civic challenges, any kind of civic challenges coming up in the country, we understand how to critically think in that particular situation under peer pressure, and independent analysis of the entire thing, the entire situation, to fight with that and to come up with that challenge, to come out of that challenge, how to reasonably solve that challenge is what we understand after the studies of social science. Cultivating structural civic values, notably equality, social justice, tolerance, pluralism, and mutual respect. Next question. Explain social science from an Indian perspective and highlights its objectives. From an Indian academic perspective, social science serves as an essential framework to interpret a multi ethnic, pluralistic, and culturally diverse society. It bridges historical contexts with contemporary challenges. So, we understand the gap, and we learn from the history how the same similar kind of situation was there in the past, how to combat with that challenge, and how to find out with some kind of solutions in today's world. That is what we are learning from the social science. So what are the key focus elements? The key focus elements are preserving pluralism. It provides a structured context to India's vast cultural, linguistic, and religious diversities, encouraging national unity. How coexist with different culture, with different religious faith the people are following, different languages people are talking, but still we are coexisting happily in the same country. Constitutional values, it contextualizes constitutional ideals like secularism, liberty, equality, and fraternity into everyday understanding. Social justice, it sensitizes learners to institutional disparities, including socio-economic stratification, caste dynamics, and gender concerns, driving proactive problem solving. So, social justice, how we should be supporting and we can get also if we face similar kind of situation, if it is socio-economic, if it is institutional, if it is based on certain kind of caste discrimination, gender discrimination, to get the entire understanding of how to do a problem solving, that is being taught in social science. And we also understand after the studies of social science, or during the studies of social science, we understand how what all rights and duties we do have, how can we fight with all these challenges. Next question is, describe some important features of democracy with relevant examples. Democracy is defined as a governance system where leaders are answerable to those who choose them. Its defining tenets include elected representatives hold ultimate authority. So, elected representatives, they have the final authority in their hands. So, any major policy which they are trying to inculcate or bring in the country or in a particular area, a particular region or particular state, can be taken by the leaders whom the citizens are electing to represent them on their behalf. Example, the laws in India are formulated by parliamentarians chosen during general elections. Genuine competitive options. Elections must present real choices with a plausible risk of eviction for current rulers. Example, Mexico's history under the long standing PRI rule highlighted that holding uncompetitive elections lacks democratic substance. What is uncompetitive elections? Uncompetitive elections means it's just a mere ritual, it's a basic formality where people are getting elected but they are not working for the country, and more or less they are not actual representatives of the citizens. So the elections has to show the real choice. If the current ruler is getting evicted, that's fine. If it's not working, they are not working or thinking in favor of the country, they must be evicted. So genuine competitive options are available in democracy. Equal franchise value. Every adult citizen has a right to vote, and each vote holds uniform mathematical weight. Every vote counts and every vote matters. That is the most important right and the power, authority being given to the citizens of the democratic countries. Universal franchise was denied to women in Saudi Arabia for generations, which violated the baseline rule of democracy. The votes of women also do matter in democracy. Constitutional boundaries. Governments must exercise a state authority within written constitutional frameworks that protect foundational individual rights. Example, Robert Mugabe's rule in Zimbabwe showed that winning elections while repressing dissent deviates heavily from democratic principles. So government has to exercise the state authority within the constitutional framework. They cannot go out of the constitutional framework to protect their own rights or to protect themselves individually. They have to work within the constitutional framework. That is the power being given to the citizens of the country with the help of democracy. The democracy always makes sure the government is working within the constitutional frame. These are the some positive points of democracy. Next question. Describe the factors affecting India's climate. India's climate landscape is regulated by several distinct geographical elements: latitude, altitude, maritime proximity, wind systems, and atmospheric pressure. The monsoons. So, what is latitude? The Tropic of Cancer bisects the nation. Consequently, southern territories enjoy a tropical climate, whereas northern expanses fall into subtropical zones. Altitude of the places. The northern borders are dominated by the Himalayan mountain ranges, averaging nearly 6,000 meters in altitude. They serve as a physical barrier. This is the most important point. They serve, what serves? The Himalayan mountain ranges. It serves as a physical barrier, blocking the freezing winds originating from Central Asia, which keeps the subcontinent warm. If there wouldn't have been any Himalayan mountain ranges, India would have been a completely altogether different kind of a climate. But because the Himalayan mountain ranges stand so strong in between the Central Asia where freezing winds and our country, that is why we are having a very normal to average temperature, and we have changing temperatures throughout the year. Maritime proximity. Peninsular India is enveloped by vast water bodies, maintaining mild, regular temperatures along coastal regions, whereas interior hubs experience extreme continental weather. Wind systems and atmospheric pressure. Surface wind routes upper air winds like jet streams and incoming western disturbances deeply alter seasonal behavior. How the winds are blowing, the atmospheric pressure completely depends on that. The monsoons, a complete cyclical shift in annual wind orientation, dictates India's core rainfall pattern. Next question. Explain climate change and discuss its major effects on the environment. Climate change refers to long term systematic shifts. It takes time. It takes a long time. Climate change doesn't happen in a shorter period of time. It is a long term systematic shift in international temperatures and weather behaviors, primarily catalyzed by human industrialization. Accelerators include burning fossil fuel, intensive deforestation, and industrial output that releases massive heat trapping gases. Major environmental consequences: escalating temperatures. Global planetary thermal thresholds are regularly broken, driving protracted dangerous heat waves. Glacial recession and sea rise. Ice caps and mountain sheets are melting, increasing oceanic levels and introducing immediate flooding hazards to lowland coastal communities. Severe weather spikes. Traditional meteorological rhythms are disrupted, producing extensive drought in some regions, alongside heavy floods and highly destructive cyclonic systems elsewhere, which we have been witnessing in last few years due to the climate change. What is happening? Weather spikes, lots of rain, otherwise very hot climate, or heavy floods, heavily destructive cyclonic weather. These all happens when climate change occurs. Ecological strain. Habitats are mutating at rates that outpace natural biological adaptation, escalating species extinction risks. So, when the climate change occurs slowly and at a specific pace, what happens? The biological adaptation also changes along with time, and also the species who have been got adapted to live in that certain a particular region in a particular adaptation, they also slowly become extinct due to the climate change. Section E, source based questions. Mention some values promoted by social science. So what do we learn from the social science? As indicated directly by the text, social science promotes foundational collective values including equality, justice, tolerance, cooperation, and respect for diversity. How does social science help in decision making? It fosters analytical frameworks by nurturing critical thinking and analytical skills. It systematically pushes students to question scenarios, properly examine social variables, and uncover real world options for societal conflicts. Any kind of particular social condition, in that condition or situation, how do we have to critically and very practically think and find out solutions in that particular situation, is what that understanding develops with the help of studies of social science. Which subject studies human and environment, that is geography, as the core branch, which is responsible for mapping the earth, atmospheric behaviors, natural assets, settlement densities, and the ongoing interaction of human societies with nature. Social science play a vital role in building knowledge, awareness, and moral values among learners. So this was the first sample paper for grade ninth periodic test 1. I'll be sharing the second sample paper soon. Thank you for watching.